And welcome to another edition of Hunt to Eat's Community Kitchen. My name is Michael Cravens. Today we are doing a twist on a classic southern dish, chicken and waffles. In this case we're going to use buttermilk fried quail. So let's get going. So the first thing we're going to do here is get these guys soaking in some buttermilk. This is going to be an overnight project for me. I'm going to pour this in, submerge them all, cover it with saran wrap, and stick it in the fridge overnight. This is actually a mixed bag, sort of anyway. I believe we have 6 scaled quail, sometimes referred to as blue quail, depending on what part of the country you're from, and 1 Gamble's quail. Myself, along with my 2 kiddos in tow, spent a long day harvesting these guys in southern Arizona just last fall. So first up is our waffles. And I'm using the classic Joy of Cooking cookbook here because I've never made waffles before from scratch. And the first ingredient we have here is 1 3/4 cups of flour, followed by 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Then we're going to do a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now we're going to pause here, whisk these ingredients together before moving on. Now we've got 3 egg yolks, 1 1/2 cups of milk, and then I've got about 6 tablespoons of butter melted on the stove. So finally we get to blend all this together. Now, having never made waffles before, I really don't know what consistency this is supposed to get to, so I'm just going to have to put my faith in it that this is going to be okay, and I think it looks pretty good. So while I think I'm done here, and it certainly looks like I'm done here, I'm not. I forgot to add the sugar, the same sugar that was sitting below me this entire time, so I got to go back and blend that in as well. So here we are with our waffle iron. This is one of those things that sits in the back of a cabinet and you shuffle it around while you're looking for other things and wonder why you have it. But then you'll have occasions like this and you'll be glad it's there. So I've scooped up about 1 cup to 1.5 cups of batter, and my initial thought was it was way too thick, as you can see here. But as it turns out, and as you'll see, it made for some nice waffles. The only technique or advice I can give here is I'm trying to get this stuff relatively evenly distributed, so when I lay the lid down it will evenly distribute throughout the waffle grid there. As you can see, made for a nice waffle though. So with that, let's get started on our quail. Start with a deep skillet or Dutch oven over medium-high heat. Then we're going to use oil, in my case peanut oil, use vegetable oil, use canola oil, use whatever you like, but you want it pretty deep because you want your quail to be at least halfway to 3/4 of the way submerged in that oil when it's cooking. So now we're going to take our quail that have been soaking in their buttermilk all night long. We're going to dredge them in a flour mixture. Now I didn't go crazy on the seasoning in the flour mixture because I'm going to be dumping a bunch of maple syrup on these guys. So I did add salt, I did add pepper, and I added some smoked paprika. But that's it. And we're going to toss these guys around in here and get them good and coated. Remember to get the little crevices under the legs, things like that. Another option here would be to split these guys in half. I like the way they look as like little turkey looking jobs and on top of the waffle. But another recommendation would be to pluck your birds. Don't skin them like I did here. Plucked birds taste better, the skin is delicious, your batter's gonna stick better, so yeah, don't be lazy like me. Typically I do like to pluck them. In this case, I don't remember why I didn't. I probably just didn't have the time. So you're gonna want your oil to be around 325 degrees. If you don't have a way to measure that, you can get it hot enough that you throw a pinch of flour in there and you get a good sizzle. So Another option with these guys would be to brine them before you cook them, and that would help keep them from drying out. But the truth of the matter is, if you don't overcook them, that shouldn't be a problem. These guys should cook no more than about 5 minutes, so you're looking at about 2.5 minutes per side. Now, with all that said, I am guilty of overcooking these. So you really do want to watch that clock. And another thing to take note of is I think that they always look a little lighter when they're still cooking and still in the oil than after you pull them and they've kind of dried out and darkened up. So I know myself well enough that I tend to make myself pull them out just before I think they're actually ready. So one more important note, make sure those body cavities are drained well of all that oil. Otherwise you're going to end up with just a gross mushy mess. That might be another good excuse for splitting them down the middle as well. So here we go. Last thing left to do is to simply serve them up. So I'm going to butter my waffle here now. I was not wise enough to set the butter out to warm up beforehand, so I'm just trying to slice it up here thin. But this particular meal, well, today in this case, I made this for my kids' lunch and they gobbled it up. A good trick, because in our house it is the rule that you eat every last bit of meat because we do not kill animals and waste them. So I make them eat their birds and clean those bones before they get to the waffle. It's a good trick, I think. But I think you will enjoy this, and I highly encourage you to give it a try. It makes for a great brunch. So enjoy.